who shot down the last MiG of the war. And Lou Page and Doremus Smith, Batson and Doremus, they shot down the first two MiGs of the war in 1965 out of this squadron. So I was in both squadrons at one time.
Was off of this?
All of them were F-4s off of Midway.
Oh, wow.
So this represents
The beginning and end
of the air war in Vietnam.
That's amazing.
And actually, we raised the money. We went $40,000 to get this thing painted up. And I got a hold of the Midway, the museum down in Pensacola, who controls all the airplanes, you know, all over the country, any place in display. And I said, we need an F-4B to turn into this thing. And Bob Rasmussen said, hey, you're just in time. He said, the last F-4s in the Navy are up at Point Magoo. They were going to be turned into drones to be shot down.
Oh, wow.
The money for the program ran out, so they're disassembling them and they're going to truck them over to Davis-Monthan. So I said, I need one. He said, okay. He told me how to get a hold of the guy. I got him. I said, okay. So we did the paperwork. And they reconfigured it to be flown again by a crew. And they flew it down from Magoo over to North Island, to the paint shop where we turned it into this. And this is the last Navy Phantom ever to be airborne in the history of the Phantom.
Wow. Wow.
And so when we got it, of course, you always look in the logbook. I looked in my logbook and found that bureau number. And lo and behold, while I was in VF-21, because airplanes, just like air crews, they get transferred from squadron to squadron and different, you know. I've got 20 hours of combat time in this airplane over Vietnam. So this we painted, so this side is painted up depicting the VF-21, the first ones, and then on the other side we did it on the others. These are all the donors. And then on this side, this is VF-161. We painted it up in the colors of 161, and we put all of our MiG kills on there. And here's Muggs and me right here. May 23rd, 72. Two MiG-17s. Then this is the last one. So, I'm pretty proud of this.
Good reason, sir.
Wow. And that was just dumb luck that this aircraft ended up here, being the last.
It was yeah, serendipity.
Amazing.
And the guy who was in charge of the displays at the time, he's a retired captain. He was a 4 guy in Mobile. Nothing against Mo, but when I said, hey, we raised the money, we want to get one, he said, well, we've got a fuselage of an F-4J over there. We can get some parts and put together, and I think we can get the nose. It doesn't have a nose cone. He said, we can get the nose cone from someplace and we'll put it together. I said, we're not funding a duck-billed platypus, goddammit. We're going to have he said, well, people are not going to know the difference. I said, yeah. You know, Joe Shut the Ragman from Keokuk, Iowa comes out here and he's not going to know the difference. But a naval aviator comes aboard here and said, what in the hell is this? I said, no way, we won't do that. So that's when I went to work and it got this one, and turned out to be. And then we had in 1965, the year after this one opened, the very year that the first ones were shot down. This opened in 2004. 2005, or 25, we had a joint reunion of these two squadrons. Everybody was left right here and dedicated this airplane at that time for all these guys. And so I went out, when I found out I had my logbook, I went out on our email chain that we talked to each other on. I said, hey guys, check your logbooks. And I said, see if you got, and lo and behold, a lot of guys had flown this airplane. So we got all those names, and in the back seat there, you know, this is something for us. In the back seat, we had a plaque inscribed, and everybody in both those squadrons who had ever flown in this airplane is commemorated in the back seat of that airplane.
That's very cool.
So nobody knows that but us. So
Yeah,
who gives a shit?
Somebody
I know that's anathema to the fighter pilots. Say, you know, hey, look at me. But we say, we know.
So it flew into North Island on its last flight.
Yeah, and then
Picked it up, put it on a barge with a crane.
No, in there we took it over there, and there's a hangar over there,
Yeah.
And so they stripped it down and everything and painted it, and then I provided the color schemes and the paint schemes to them, and had it painted up, and
As
then
if
they
it
brought it on a
had served
barge.
here.
They brought it over a barge and craned it aboard here, sometime in early 2005. So
Right. So it's restored to the colors it was when it served on the ship.
in this squadron and that squadron.
Oh, I see. Oh, so it's double-sided.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the VF-21 side was the first MiGs. 161 side was the last MiGs, plus the ones in between. So we call this the Midway Phantom. It used to be, they move them around here periodically but this used to be sitting right in the middle of the hangar deck, the flight deck, where the A4 is now, to talk about the arrested landings. So eventually it'll move around, and they had an A7 over there now. I think they got an A6. So they move them around here so you get a different, people get a different view of it if they come back and forth. High intercepts of Russian bears coming, over water. So you get down over land, you get all this ground return, and you couldn't get a good. So we couldn't get a good lock on him to try a Sparrow, but we saw the MiG-17, the 19s. They came through, and Muggs said, "Okay, two 19s coming through the middle. Let's cross turn. I'll go high, you go low." So we went high, and Rookie and Ken went low. Well, what was they were a trap. We didn't know that. We made a mistake. We forgot to clear enough behind us. The 4 MiG-17s were in trail behind them. Their plan was, which I confirmed with this Russian pilot, Korean, North Vietnamese pilot that I met 40 years ago, that their plan was that we would turn on those 19s and they would be behind us and they'd shoot us down. Well, they didn't leave enough separation between the two elements, so instead of breaking between the two elements, we broke right into the formation of 17s. That's when the shit hit the fan. And so we started turning and burning with them. And I'm out of the cockpit looking 6 o'clock, 3 to 9, 6 o'clock, like that. And we got the MiG-17 Muggs tried to make a run on one of the 19s that passed back through the fight. And he was going for it. And I said, "Look back here." And the guy was right in saddle, out ready shooting at us. I said, "Hey, Muggs, 8 o'clock, tracking and shooting, do some of that pilot shit." And so he, in the maneuver, so violent maneuver to break his like that, we actually departed the airplane. And that Phantom actually did a backflip. We did that thing. We went over our tail. He recovered it, pulled up, and lo and behold, there's a 17 in front of us. We took a shot at it and missed. And that was Colonel Lamb, the one that I met in Hanoi in 1916 or 2016. And so then we turned around, and then we got another one, 4 o'clock, tracking and shooting another one. And this guy, we turned into him real hard, and he just pulled up like this. And on a MiG-17, the big bulbous nose, the cockpit sit back here. Out there, you can't see over it. Well, Muggs had been part of the exploitation, have donut, have drill. He had actually been up in Area 45 and flown a MiG-17 in exploitation. So as soon as that guy went like that, he realized he can't see us. So this guy just kept turning, I guess, figuring that, well, they'll eventually come out, because they could turn inside our circle, and then he'd have us. So he kept pulling like that. Muggs came back to idle, we put full stick like that, 0G, and we just pulled away from him like this. And he keeps turning, and we're building separation. Finally, he starts wondering where the hell we are. By this time, we can come back in like that, and he's looking like that. First kill, boom. And then we looked across the circle, and Mike and Ken had gone low, and they had a MiG-17 or two chasing them around treetop. They were actually going between trees trying to shake these guys, and they couldn't do it. And we got that kill, and we looked across the circle and saw that. And Mike called me and said, "Hey, Rookie, drag him, I don't know, east or west or whatever the hell it was. Drag him this way." And so we big barrel roll like that, came in behind, and here's Rookie, here's the MiG, here's us. Shot that guy down off of his tail. We joined up, got the hell out of Dodge. So that maneuver was not planned, but it actually did a flip and saved us from getting shot down from that first MiG-17. So,
Somewhere in North Vietnam, there's a pilot telling
I
us.
saw you shoot. And of course, we're out of the parameters, and the missile missed him. So, but he was still alive. The two MiG-19 guys, they had been killed later in the war, and two of the MiG-17s. I didn't find out until that day in '16 that the first one that we shot down actually died that day. We saw parachutes from both the ones we shot down, but the first one, the one that we, did the maneuver on, he didn't survive the ejection. He died that day, and the other guy, he lived through that one, but he was killed in another dogfight later in the war before it was over with. So 2 out of the 6 were still alive. Colonel Lamb lived in Hanoi, so I got to see him. The other guy lived down in Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City, or what the hell they call it. And so he didn't come up for the meeting. There were 11 of us, U.S. aviators, Marine Corps, Navy, and Air Force, went over and met with about 16 or 17 MiG pilots that we had fought against in the war. So it was a pretty cool experience. He says, I got Dudu's original leather jacket. He says, he loaned it to me before he left, and then he didn't come back. And
who was Dudu again?
he was the pilot I was flying with when I was shot down. Muggs, the guy I got the MiGs with, he got orders back out, and he became the first commanding officer of Top Gun when they stood it up as a squadron out of 121. So he flew back in July of that year, '72, and took over as command. And Mike Doyle was his replacement. I flew with him. And ironically,
What became of Dudu in your shoot down?
he was apparently killed either during the shoot down or before I got us out of the airplane, or he died there afterwards. His remains came back 13 years later, 1986, and we buried him in Arlington. But his brother, who was also a F4 Rio like myself, at the funeral, he told me that the forensic pathologists there in Hawaii, examining the remains and everything, they didn't just find him, they had been preserved. He said from the trauma to the skull that he probably was dead before I got us out of the airplane, or he didn't last much longer. So anyway, so Dudu and I were flying, ironically, we were flying in the same airplane that Muggs and I shot the MiGs down in. And we were on our 13th mission together. I'm not superstitious, but anyway. So when Bob White said, "What do you want that jacket? Could you use it for the ready room?" I said, "Yeah, give it to me." So I got the patch put on. I had a name tag made for it to put on here. So this is a memorial to Dudu Doyle right here. Anyway, it's kind of probably doesn't mean anything, but the trophy out there, that was the Clifton Award, Admiral Clifton Award, awarded to the best fighter squadron in the Navy every year. We won it in '72 for our performance. What good is it? Nobody knows what it is anyway.
You know what it is.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder what the hell this is. Oh, air conditioner. So anyway, we developed this. This is pretty much what a ready room really looked like in the day. And these, as a nod to being a museum, all the plaques on the wall here are all the F4 squadrons that ever operated the Phantom during its lifetime in the Navy, and then on the back are all the Marine Corps squadrons that ever flew the Phantom. And then there were a few more chairs in a ready room at the time when we were operating, but we didn't fill them all up because you got to have a place to move around in. But anyway, this is kind of what the ready room looked like. This is where you would debrief and debrief. When you brief what you're going to do on your mission, go out and do your mission, and then come back and debrief what went wrong, what we need to do, what went better. This is where we had our movies at night. The old 16 millimeter roll, the screen in the front, and change reels. So this was our man cave for the air crews when we're on board. So this is pretty much pretty much what it looked like when we were flying. And then we put up, this is all the F-4 Phantom MiG kills during the war. And then over here we put a tribute to, this is all a list of all the F-4 air crews that were either KIA, MIA, or POW in Vietnam. So this is
So the entire
right.
squadron would meet here to be briefed on the mission of the day. And that
Well,
would-
no. You usually, the Navy flies what we call a section, 2 airplanes in a section. If there's just 2, this everybody wouldn't brief together because you didn't all fly at the same time.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But
So it'd be
you might have 2, 4, probably 4 airplanes maybe on an Alpha strike. It'd be 4 Phantoms from 161, 4 Phantoms from the F-151, the A-6s, the A-4s, A-7s, and bombers. And so the leader from each element would go down to Air Intelligence Office and would brief the overall mission with the mission leader.
right.
And then they'd come back and they would brief their portion of it to us, who were going to go fly it, and then come back, and then you would debrief when you came back, and then the leader would go down and debrief that way. So it was step thing. So not the whole squadron. This whole squadron would be in here for meetings, all officer meetings, and the commanding officer wanted to talk to you or something. But this is just for air crews, not enlisted people. This is all the air crews, the officers.
Beautiful. Tail sticks. Okay.
What?
His name is up on the command. I know there's a reflection, but
Okay. Pull back. So okay, great.
Well, there's an awful lot of room in here. Not when it's operational. This is what it looks like, and they go, "Oh my God!"
Yeah. This is that ladder, and this is that rail.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a photograph taken looking
Right
this
here.
way.
It's right here.
Yeah, looking down the hangar deck that way. That's amazing.
Just
What?
stand there, actually, Jack. You could move in a little closer to the edge of it there, and then turn a little more 3/4 toward me. And then,
Look at it.
yeah,
Well, and one of his guys showed up and he said, "Oh no, John said 10 after." So he already blew up by the time I went to
great.
So I mean, yeah, well, I don't know.
30 seconds.
I never operated a boiler.
Well, no, what I'm telling you is that when I was
Right.
on
Yeah. They're all teenagers.
18, 19, 20-year-old guys
Handling.
handling the
explosives.
ordnance. Yeah,
I mean, they're just babies.
Yeah.
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 The average age on a carrier at the time was somewhere about 18 to 20 years of age, and
Amazing.
all the responsibility and everything that they had at that age. I mean,
And it looks like they're in a warm climate wherever this is because they're all just wearing
it's
t-shirts.
Yankee Station, Vietnam coast.
Oh, okay. So it's hot. Humid,
It's hot.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No airflow.
You look at this, and today, I forgot what is it, somewhere in the 70% area of young people today between the ages of 18 and 20 something aren't even qualified to come into the Navy or the services because of they can't pass physical fitness tests. They can't, so they're ineligible. And here these guys are all those years ago. It's less than 1% of our population now is serving in the military.
Yes.
Yeah, You know what's interesting is that the Navy has always adopted Navy whites because these guys are working around Greece and everything most of the time.
Well, they're in dungarees here though, but
Yeah,
but
white
yeah, they're
t-shirts.
dress uniforms. Yeah, as a matter of fact, they're bringing back. They're going retro with the enlisted. I call it the Cracker Jacks, and they're going because they for many years now they were just plain. Now they've got the three stripes on the cuff, and three stripes and a star on the bib behind them, and oh man, they
So
look
that's
sharp.
retro back to
They-
Second World War.
Back into the
Okay.
even maybe farther than that. I don't know, but oh, they look so sharp.
I remember.
I
that
love
look.
those Cracker
Yeah,
Jacks.
Yeah. I remember that look. It has the big square.
Yeah, the bib behind it. Yeah. You know where that? You know what? The purpose of that bib back there? Back in the sailing days, sailors used to have the long hair and the pigtails, and they would put
Greece.
grease and tar on them to their hair, and so that bib was, I think, it was retractable, so it was to keep their uniform underneath from getting all dirty.
Oh wow.
And that's an old slang word for sailors, a tar. And they get that because they used to put tar and stuff in their hair to keep it like.
The
little
smell of
trivia there.
tar is very intense, though.
Yeah.
I love Bill loves. He'll remember everything you say and
Trivia.
regurgitate it back.
Trivia.
This is filled with
So these
facts.
Right
are-
up there.
These are all A4s that are in the
These,
background.
these are all A4s in the background, yeah.
Yeah.
VA-22, that's the Fighting Redcocks. See the Redcock here?
Yeah.
And they're